So, this month we honor Men's Mental Health Month by opening up conversations that are often silenced, conversations about pain, purpose, and the journey towards healing. For me, this is deeply personal. I lost my cousin to suicide. I know the ache of wondering what more could have been done, and I know the courage it takes to speak out loud to what we carry quietly. This is why I want to honor Ricky Johnson. Ricky is a U.S. Marine veteran, a mental health and recovery advocate, and a man who has walked through unimaginable pain, including the devastating loss of his own son to suicide. A former addict and a three-time convicted felon, Ricky turned his life around not just for himself, but to become a voice for those who really feel like they don't have one. Since beginning his speaking journey, I believe in 2021, he has brought messages of truth, accountability, and hopes to hundreds of people at institutions, prisons, schools, and treatment centers across the country. What makes Ricky powerful is not just his story, but the way he shows up for others with raw honesty, grit, and a genuine heart to serve. He reminds us that healing isn't always pretty, but it is possible. And that talking about mental health, especially for men, is not a weakness. It's one of the bravest things we can do. So please join me in welcoming someone who has courage I admire deeply and whose message I believe we all need to hear, and that's Ricky Johnson. And as soon as Ricky is done, we also have Northwood, which is a crisis unit I work with often, so that if any of you ever know anyone affected by mental health, you are linked to someone that's able to help them. Ricky, if you want to go ahead and
Sure.
tell us all about yourself.
Sure. Good morning, everybody from Biloxi, Mississippi. Can you hear me okay? Good. So, guys, first of all, I want to thank you guys for the opportunity to be here today. I'm very humbled and honored. This is my introduction into the great state, West Virginia. I travel throughout the country, and I've spoken in front of a lot of different people in a lot of different places. But anytime that I can give my time back to the recovery community, reentry, mental health facilities, or anything like that, that ranks up there very high for me. I think it's safe to say that most of us here today, we're on this purpose-driven journey to serve other people. And guys, when you're walking this purpose-driven path to serve others, or you're in this significant position of influence, people's going to seek your support at the most inopportune times and when you least feel like it, when you're not the most motivated. What I always remind myself is when I choose serving you over me, I'm free from my own mind by becoming the source that I seek. And guys, what I mean by becoming the source that I seek, during those times and moments when I may be needing connection, validation, patience, love, or whatever it is, I know someone at my level, most people's not going to reach out to me and give me that. So I give it to other people. Okay. And by doing so, it usually alleviates what I'm going through. And I gain strength and patience through that. The healer doesn't heal the broken. I believe that the healer inspires the broken into healing themselves. You know, guys, they say that the true measure of a man is the way that we make people feel when we leave their presence. Today, I'm not here to judge you. I'm not here to shame you. I'm not here to try to prove a point or tell you how you should or should not live your life. And guys, to be honest with you, your choices are relevant to me. These are your risks, your consequences, and also your rewards. And guys, what I mean by irrelevant to me, I just mean that I'm not going to look down on you, no matter how you live your life. My intention today is when I leave here, you're like, you know what, Ricky's who he says that he is. That guy inspires me. Okay, guys, as mentioned, my name is Ricky Johnson. I'm 45. Originally, I'm from Southeast Missouri, from a small town of about 3,500 people. I now reside in Biloxi, Mississippi, with my wife, who works aboard Keesler Air Force Base for the Department of Defense. Prior to that, my wife and I resided in Jacksonville, North Carolina, where my wife was employed by the Marine Corps. I'm also a 5-year Marine veteran myself. I never saw combat. I never was deployed. The biggest battles that I ever fought were with myself. I pumped gas in the Marine Corps. I was a refueler, so that's what I did. And guys, in the big scheme of things, I'm a drop in the bucket. You know, I'm a guy that's made a lot of very bad choices in my life, as we'll hear about today. And I'm just here to share with you the gift that was given to me, and that's the gift of hope. You know, we're all going through something, and we all make bad choices. but the way that we choose to recover is what creates who we're to become. If you make a bad choice, own it, learn from it, and become a better person for it. Remember this: a smart man learns from his own mistakes. A wise man learns from the mistakes of others. Let my trauma and my tragedy be your triumph. So, guys, a quote that I tell myself every single morning is, when you're not a coward, the climb is always going to be uphill. And, guys, what that quote says to me is, with success and progress, it's not going to be flashy and exciting all the time. It's an uphill climb, and it's a steady stream, and it can be very boring. It's doing the same things over and over again, and that's how we get great at anything. The choices made that are the most beneficial, they're not always going to be the most enjoyable, and that's what discipline is. Success is asking for a larger set of problems and the courage to continually solve it. And guys, a lot of people have the misperception of success and progress. They think, if I start achieving success and climbing this ladder and making progress, my life's going to get easier. In some areas it may, but overall, the tests are going to keep coming. They're going to be more intense and more frequent. And guys, even for me on my climb, the tests never go away, but they're more frequent and more intense. But I'm just at a better place in my life now, where I'm more equipped at how to adjust to them when the tests come. Guys, the same thing. A lot of people had the misperception of strength. They think strength is a miracle. It just falls into your lap. And guys, that is furthest from the truth. We gain strength by overcoming adversity, and that's what prepares us for the next challenge coming down the road. Whatever you're going through right now, you may think in your mind, like, man, why am I going through this? It's easy to get caught up in that self-pity, okay? It's important to try to embrace that test as a gift from above, okay? That's where you gain and achieve your strength in the process. So, guys, about roughly 5 or 6 years ago,
this meeting is being recorded.
So, guys, roughly about 5 or 6 years ago, I was blessed with an opportunity to speak aboard Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C., and I got to advocate on behalf of the citizens of Burke County in North Carolina, which was a huge honor. Soon after that, I was appointed to a state committee by the North Carolina Speaker of the House, Mr. Tim Moore. And, guys, most recently, I was appointed to the Mental Health Association, to the board of the Mental Health Association of South Mississippi. A couple of years ago, I was invited to the Missouri State Capitol, where I'm from, where I was recognized in front of the Missouri House of Representatives for my commitment to the state of Missouri. Soon after that, or at that meeting, I was invited to speak with the Missouri Director of Prisons, where I was granted access back into the Missouri prison systems. And guys, I don't share those things with you to brag or boast. I share them with you for multiple reasons. One of the reasons is to let you know of the significance of where I started from. And guys, when I tell you that I started at the bottom and I've lost everything multiple times, I mean that literally. The other reason is this: the folks in Washington, D.C., Jeff City, all those high levels and state capitals, they can benefit the cause. And I'm proud to say that I've been a part of some pretty cool things at a high level. But at the end of the day, most of them, they can't relate to this, being boots on the ground, feet in the fire. You guys are my people, and I'm your person, and I'm always going to represent you at the highest levels, speak on your behalf, and be the best example and representation for you that I can be. And guys, when I say I'm going to speak on your behalf, that doesn't mean that I'm this loud, confrontational, or I'm not a loud individual. Okay, I forget the word I'm trying to use, but you get my point. Guys, to be an effective leader, you don't have to be loud. Our conduct speaks for us. Keep this in mind. The most effective form of leadership is the manner in which we choose to lead ourselves. Our words are who we aspire to be. Our conduct proves who we truly are. And that's something that I try to live by every single day. So, guys, besides being a 5-year Marine veteran, I'm also a 3-time convicted felon for methamphetamines and DWIs. I spent some time in prison. I spent 5 years on felony probation. Currently, I pay into the state of Missouri close to $23,000 in court costs, fees, and fines. In the past 29 years that I could legally drive, I didn't have a driver's license for 19 of those years. I recently got my license back about 3 months ago, or actually it's been about 5 months ago, because I now have the Intoxilite device in my vehicle. I'll be getting that removed next month. And guys, to get my driver's license back, that's probably for me one of the most proud accomplishments of my life, just because of how much sacrifice and commitment it took for me to get to this point. Guys, everything that I was charged with and convicted of, I was 100% guilty of doing. I don't point the finger. I don't blame people or make excuses. I needed held accountable. And without that accountability, I probably would have never changed. I now collaborate with law enforcement. I don't have any bitter feelings, toward law enforcement or the system. And like I said, I now collaborate with them. And guys, when I say I collaborate with them, it doesn't mean that I'm a confidential informant. Okay, they share with me their perspective, and I share with them our perspective, so we can better support one another. And that's the way that I was able to gain access back into the criminal justice system. I lost both of my parents at a young age to alcoholism as a result. My mother was 49 and my dad was 53. They were not bad people, but the choices they were making, it absolutely contributed to their death. And guys, let me say today, before I get into my story, I'll tell you from the beginning that I'm very transparent, but respectfully in bounds. I believe that connection saves lives. So that's one reason that I'm so transparent about my journey. If at any time you feel triggered and you need to step away, I encourage you to do so. You're not going to offend me. And at the end of this, if you have any questions, I encourage you to ask. I welcome all questions, okay? So please do so. So guys, my journey began in peer support about six or 7 years ago. I was working for a veteran nonprofit organization as a peer support specialist and also an outreach coordinator. My role for that organization was I was like the tip of the spear. I was the guy that was going into the woods behind a dumpster, wherever there might be a veteran or a civilian in a crisis at, I would go to them and try to provide them with services like food, clothing, housing, or whatever they may need. And guys, I'll be honest with you. I lost the drive to do what I was doing, okay, because I felt like God was pulling me in a different direction. And guys, when I feel like God is calling me to do something, it's non-negotiable. I create a plan and I execute it, and that's what I did. I resigned from the most money I'd ever made in my life, which was not like this staggering amount, but to me, it was a lot of money. And guys, for the organization, I was at a high level. I was like the face of the organization. I don't say it to be bragging, but it was the reality of the situation. Okay. I resigned and I now travel full time. I travel throughout the country speaking full time at prisons, jails, high schools, conferences. Guys, there's probably not an environment that I've not gone into, or I won't go into, or a demographic that I've not spoke in front of. The way that I choose to look at it is I'm willing to risk embarrassment and humiliation to expose my entire life in front of a group of strangers, all of you, to inspire just one person, but also to gain confidence as well. The biggest risk would have been for me is if I'd have never risked it at all. So guys, growing up, I had no excuse to become who I was. But the truth is I was exposed to substance use at a very small age, like 4, 5, and 6. You could probably accurately describe me as being a product of my environment. I was raised in the bars and taverns with my dad. That was just part of the culture of where I'm from. And guys, I don't blame my family for the choices that I made, but that being around that impacted my life, and I aspired to be just like them. They would let me taste beer like at 4, 5, and 6, and I liked it. I liked the taste of it, and they unintentionally created a monster with me. Guys, keep this in mind. Whatever you see and hear the most frequently, most of the time that's going to become your frequency. Okay, and that's what it was like for me. So be mindful of what you see and what you hear. That's the point of that. Also, as a small child, I was violated sexually by a family member. If any of you have experienced that, my heart goes out to you. Can't say I know how you feel, but I can definitely relate. Guys, second time in my life, something that I've been sharing publicly for the past year, and I also did an interview with the Department of Veteran Affairs about 8 months ago that I speak about this publicly. Guys, I'm not a meek man. I'm not a man that you're just going to overpower and take something from. I will defend myself, okay? But at the age of 21, while in the Marine Corps, I was working at a bar at a club checking IDs. I was very naive and young. I was invited to an after party, and I didn't know anybody. Like I said, I was very naive. I get to that after party, and I got extremely intoxicated. And while I was incoherent, I was awakened by another man who was attempting to perform a vile sex act on me. You can do the math, and I'll leave it at that. Guys, on that very moment, I was sexually assaulted. Let's put it like that. On that moment, my life froze, and to this day, I'm still I'm traumatized by it. It's never gone away. Okay, and like I said, guys, I'm not the man you're just going to take something from. But I was caught in a very vulnerable situation for the second time in my life. As a kid and also as an adult. So that molded me it helped mold me to who I am today. But it traumatized me. Okay. And guys, if you've experienced that, like I said, I can't say I know how you feel, but I can 100% relate to you. And I'm very sorry that happened to you. Excuse me, guys. So, guys, I spent 5 years in the Marine Corps, and I honorably discharged. When I discharged from the Marine Corps, let me take a step back. So, guys, I get to high school. I was 17 years old. I was a boy having a baby, and I thought I was a man. I was 17 years old. I think I made pretty decent grades. I was athletic, and I was pretty well liked by my peers. The summer before my senior year, my son was born. Like I said, I was 17 years old, a boy having a baby. Thought I was a man, but I had no clue as to how to raise a child or be a father. So I needed some structure, some guidance, and discipline, and I joined the Marine Corps. Guys, if you know anything about Marines, we're very extreme, obsessive, and competitive individuals. Add substance use into the mix, and it was a perfect storm for me. That extreme personality about killed me, mixed with substance use. But what the Marine Corps instills into us is the ability to improvise, adapt, overcome, and not give up. And that's probably what saved my life going down the road. So I discharged from the Marine Corps honorably after 5 years, and I returned back to Southeast Missouri, where I'm from. Guys, when I returned back to Southeast Missouri, I had good intentions. I was going to be the father I didn't have. I was going to get a job and do the right thing. And guys, when I say the father I didn't have, my biological father, he wasn't a bad man, but he was just in and out of my life. Due to his own struggle, he was never present. And I was never mad at him. The only father that I ever knew was my stepdad, and he's a good man. A lot of who I am today is because of how he raised me and what he instilled into me, and we have a pretty good relationship. So, guys, when I returned back to Missouri, if I told you that I got a job, done the right thing, and made my son a priority, I'd be lying to you. My priority was methamphetamine, alcohol, pills, and criminal activity, and that came before everything, including my son. My son would see me get high on meth. I would let him get high in front of me. I would take him with me on drug deals. Guys, on multiple occasions, my son saw me so intoxicated on alcohol and pills that I was covering my own urine. Okay, I know that sounds very twisted and disgusting because it is. My way of thinking was backwards. When I say I let my son get high in front of me, guys, I had so much guilt and shame that I couldn't tell him no. In my mind, I was showing him the right way, how to do the wrong thing. Okay, and I still carry that to this day. It's a big regret for me. When I say that I sold narcotics, I was not some successful drug dealer. If there's such a thing, I wouldn't glorify it anyway. Okay, I was a nickel and dime thief. I was stealing from people, lying, manipulating, and deceiving, and that's the way that I supported my addiction at that time of my life. My mother passes away in 2009. I was a mama's boy, and I used my mother's death as an excuse to get more heavily involved in substance use. I was catching drug charges, DWIs, in and out of prison, jail, all the chaos that comes with that life. And guys, in that time, I would always play the victim. Poor Ricky, the system is out to get me. The reality was this, my consequences were conducive to my choices. And like I said earlier, I needed held accountable. Without that accountability, I probably would have never changed. Keep this in mind. Guys, I believe in empathy and compassion, but we also have to have a balance of accountability accountability as well. Being too kind or overly kind produces a lack of consequence. So, guys, I spent about 10 years in and out of active addiction, and people often ask me, why did it take you so long to come out of it? And guys, this is the way I'm going to frame it because we can all relate to this. It was a comfortable misery. And this is what I mean by comfortable misery. It could be in a very toxic, abusive relationship. It could be somebody, it could be at a job that you hate. It could be someone who is within the unhoused or homeless population. I see this often with people who've served in the military and now they're getting discharged back to the civilian sector. Or it may be somebody who's done an extended period of time incarcerated and now they're transitioning back to the free world. Guys, a lot of times on the outside looking in at these environments, it looks like pure insanity, very toxic and destructive, and it very well may be. But the more time you spend inside of it, you develop these skills and tools to help you to survive, and you become good at it, okay? The thought of transitioning to a new environment, there's a fear of the unknown. We doubt our abilities, and it can be very overwhelming. And a lot of times it's easier to stay where you're at. And that's what it was like for me to transition from active addiction into recovery. And guys, to be honest with you, I wasn't willing to commit to a change because at that time I was lazy. And like I said, guys, doing the wrong thing it seems fun and easier, but 9 times out of 10, it's going to come with the regret and the consequence. Remember this: discipline weighs ounces, regret weighs tons. Don't forget that. So guys, I was roughly 31, 32 years old, and I done lost everything. Okay. I found myself homeless. And guys, when I say I was homeless, I was not the guy under a bridge holding a sign, but I was just couch surfing and I was using people. I ended up living with my stepdad, and I was divorced twice, done lost everything. And my stepdad got sick of my mess. He got sick of my shit, pardon my language. He said, listen, Ricky, he goes, you won't stop stealing from me. You won't stop lying. He goes, you're a terrible example to Landon, my son. He goes, you won't keep a job or stay sober. He said, I'm done with you. He said, figure it out. So he puts me out. And I was, like I said, I was homeless for a couple of years. I ended up in a rescue mission in Poplar Bluff, Missouri, where I'm from. And guys, in that rescue mission for me, it was like the material walls collapsed and the spiritual world awakened. Okay. And guys, I'm not the most religious person, but I'm very spiritual. I believe that a religious man fears hell and a spiritual man comes from it. And guys, in that rescue mission, I said a prayer. I said, God, if you get me out of this pits of hell, I'll always get back to the next man. I'll never doubt you when things don't go my way. And I'll always give you credit when I'm blessed. And guys, I stood on that prayer and I meant it. But this transition wasn't overnight. It took a lot of commitment, a lot of flexibility and patience. And guys, in that rescue mission, I crossed paths with an angel. She's now my wife. My wife was working down the street from the rescue mission that I was staying at. And guys, meeting her changed everything for me. I wouldn't be here without her. She believed in me. She saw something in me that I didn't see. And it motivated me to be the best possible man that I could be, because I knew there was no way in hell, if I kept living the way that I was, that Julie would ever give me an opportunity and we would never make it, okay? Prior to meeting my wife, I was very promiscuous, reckless. I had no morals or values or principles, and my wife's the epitome of morals and values and principles. And she said, listen, Ricky, if we're going to be together, this is the way it's got to be. She's got, you got to keep a job, stay sober, and you're going to respect me. And she set some very firm boundaries with me. And I knew that there was no way that I could get outside of those boundaries, guys. And I needed somebody I wasn't capable of holding myself accountable. And I needed somebody to do that for me. Prior to meeting my wife, my way of doing things, my best effort was proven to fail repeatedly, Ricky's way, over and over again. When I met my wife, it was like God said, listen, Ricky, listen to this woman, let her guide you and let her lead you. And guys, that's what I did. You know, it was a very uncomfortable process, but I knew in order for me to become a man that I would respect and that my wife would respect, I needed to make some very difficult changes. And it was a very uncomfortable process. It took a lot of growth. I'll be honest with you. I married way out of my league. My joke to everyone is my wife has 2 master's degrees and I've got 3 felonies. So we balance one another out. So guys, I met this amazing woman. My life was taking off. I was sober for the first time in my life. I was back in the gym getting into shape. I was using my GI Bill, going to college, making the dean's list. And guys, I was repairing relationships with my family, with my stepdad. I was gaining the trust of my community that I terrorized. But most important, I was finally able to be the father to my son than I neglected being for so long. Like I told you guys, when you're winning and everything's falling into place and everything's running smooth, it's very easy to be a respectful, patient, and kind person. When you face adversity, the way that you treat others in those environments, that's what proves who you truly are, because I promise you that you're going to be tested. And I was tested in the most unimaginable way. All that time that I spent worrying about what Ricky wanted, what Ricky needed, poor Ricky, Ricky's addiction, Ricky's locked up, I neglected the person that needed me the most, and that was my son. All the broken promises, all the letdowns, all the lies. Guys, I was a father that would tell my son, I love you more than life, but I'd do anything for you. My conduct proved that I was a liar over and over again. I would continually put other substance users, criminal activity, my addiction. And guys, I was that father that was also guilty of prioritizing other women's kids above my son to gain their love and validation. That was my priority. The message I was sending to my son was, these people in this life over here mean more to me than spending time with you. Imagine how my son felt, okay? To make the long story short, on December 12th, 2015, I get a phone call. My son, 18 years old, he felt as if he didn't have any worth or value and like nobody cared about him, okay? He goes to a city park in Sykeston, Missouri, where I'm from, and he hung himself. He took his own life. Guys, as you can imagine, it knocks the piss out of me every single day. I go to sleep with a broken heart. I wake up with a broken heart. It never ends, okay? I'm not a pity individual. I don't go around saying, God, why'd you do this to me? The reality was my son made a bad choice, okay? But the way that I choose to look at it is this. His death killed me, but it inspired me. It inspired me to be a better person. Every single day when I leave my house, I'm very aware of how my conduct can impact somebody in a positive or a negative way. And that helps hold me accountable because, guys, the way that we treat people matters. Don't forget that. You'll often hear people say, I don't have any regret. You know, good for you. I would be lying if I said I didn't. And let me make this clear. I would not be who I am today without making those bad choices, okay? But I don't feel good about making a negative impact in people's life, especially my son. I don't want to forget about who I used to be. So I keep the regret near me as a guideline of who I never want to be again and where to never return. Okay. Because guys, I think I can speak for a lot of us. Complacency would kill a person like me. I don't want to forget about where I was to avoid. That helps me to not go back to that. People often ask me, do you blame yourself for your son's death? A lot of days I do. Am I solely responsible for his suicide? No. Did I play a huge role in it? 100%. You know, my conduct impacted his mental health. There's no way around that. And that's why I mean, guys, the way that we can be mindful of how you treat other people. So, guys, as you can imagine, at that time in my life, I was devastated. What I started doing that was very therapeutic for me was I would just get on social media and I just started exposing my entire life, everything that I'd done, the most humiliating stuff you can think of. Was it humiliating? Yes, but it was also liberating, and it gave me a sense of purpose and peace, and I gained strength from that. Guys, other people saw through me. They're like, you know what? If Ricky can take responsibility for these very humiliating and embarrassing choices with transparency, I can do that as well. And like I said, they gave me a sense of purpose. That was like God's way of preparing me and conditioning me to be here today. Guys, most every job that I had after the Marine Corps in 2003, I lost due to substance use. But this is what I knew how to do. I knew how to persevere and be resilient. And guys, to persevere and be resilient, it doesn't take talent or a gift. It's effort. It's getting back up over and over again. That's how we get great at anything. And I knew how to do that. I knew how to inspire people. Excuse me. And guys, to inspire people, it doesn't mean you have to be a hero. Practice what you preach. Personify what you teach. Remember this quote, if a man is right, his world will be right. To be therapeutic, it doesn't mean you have to be a therapist, okay? Be present with somebody and be willing to listen to them without judgment. Like I said, guys, we all have the need to feel like we matter to somebody, and we all have the need we all want to feel like we're being heard. Guys, there's many days when I wake up discontent. You know, I got my license back. I got 3 felonies. My son's dead. There's a million excuses that I could use, that we all could use, to be a negative person and project it onto other people. But guys, by me doing that, I'd be a very selfish man to do that, and I refuse to do that. There's days that I wake up questioning my reason for why. Ricky, why are you doing this? Today, you guys are my reason why. You're the reason that I do this. I care to be a good example to you. I care to be who I say that I am. I care that when you look at me, you're like, you know what, he's who he says that he is. Okay, guys, and that's what I mean to inspire. It doesn't mean you have to be a hero. Just practice what you preach and personify what you teach. And guys, when I use the quote, if a man is right, his world will be right. And let me clarify this. You can be making all the right choices for the right reasons with good intentions, okay? And there's going to come a point when you're going to hit a wall. The momentum is going to stop, even if you're making the right choices. When you lose momentum and hit that little wall, it doesn't mean that you're struggling. That struggle does not mean that you're failing, okay? It is better to maintain. If you maintain where you're at, that is still progress. It's better than going in reverse. So that's what I mean by that. And guys, knowing that all of you are watching me, that is what helps hold me accountable. I care to, and that helps me to be a good example. Every single day when I look at myself in the mirror, I ask myself, am I being the man that I once needed? Am I being the man that my son deserved? If I were them, would I listen to me? And if I were them, would I be inspired by me? And that helps me, like I said, guys, that helps me to stay on track, okay? Guys, there's nothing about me unique. I'm not great at any one thing. I'm a 3-time convicted felon. I have a horrible work history. Guys, but the thing about me is this: I don't believe in failure or loss. I look at a loss as a lesson, and it becomes a win. If I fall down, I'm going to get back up, and I'm going to keep pressing forward. And guys, I'm the kind of person, you got to take the life out of my body before I ever quit. And that's the fact I'm standing here today is proof of that. I'm not great at any one thing. I'm not the greatest public speaker, okay? I still stutter. I still talk fast. I've cried in front of audiences. I've got stage fright in front of hundreds of people. Even during this presentation, I've had to take a step back multiple times to refocus on what things that I forgot to say, okay? But best believe if I commit to you and say I'm going to be there, I'm going to show up and I'm going to give you my very best every single time. Guys, I've given over 500 presentations in more than 400 different venues across the country. I have never canceled one time, okay? I'm committed to being who I say that I am. When I began public speaking, this was not something that I thought about one day. I was like, I'm going to be a public speaker. I just had the mindset that I refused to let my life be wasted, or my son's life be in vain. And I just felt like this was something that I was called to do. Because, guys, I stutter. This is not something that I feel comfortable doing every single time. When I began public speaking, I would stand in front of a mirror for hours, crying, stuttering, and sweating, asking God, why are you calling me to do this? I'm terrible at it. Guys, keep this in mind. Whatever you fear the most, when you overcome that, that's going to become your greatest strength. And that's what public speaking was for me. If you'd have told me 7 years ago that I'd be presenting to a group in West Virginia or speaking in front of 500 law enforcement officers or healthcare officials, I'd have been like, there's no way in hell. But I just kept putting myself in these uncomfortable environments, falling down, getting back up. And that's ultimately what helped me to begin my career. Guys, the way that my career began is a peer support. My wife and I relocated from Missouri to Asheville, North Carolina. I got to Asheville with a terrible work history, no driver's license, and 3 felony convictions, 2 of which are meth-related. I was putting in applications at the outlet mall, Nike, Under Armour, and Walmart, and I could not get a call back, okay? And guys, I had a vision and a goal, but I didn't have a plan. I didn't know how I was going to make it happen. The way it happened for me was I was at an Ingles grocery store, and I crossed paths with a Marine veteran who was probably 75 years old. He's now passed. He had a Marine Corps hat on, and I walk up and I said, "Excuse me, sir, Semper Fi. I appreciate your service." That means always, Semper Fi means always faithful. He invites me to this Marine Corps League meeting, like the VFW, but you can't drink. So I show up. They asked me to introduce myself. And guys, I just threw the dice. I just said, this is my opportunity. I said, this is who I used to be. This is who I am now. And this is where I'm trying to get to. About 10 minutes later, I was approached by a man named Brandon Wilson. Brandon was the second in command of the entire VA, Veteran Affairs of North Carolina. He's a Marine combat veteran, and he made a massive impact in my life. He's the director of the organization I used to work for, and I wouldn't be here without him. And guys, when he approaches me, that's when I knew God had put me there for this reason. He said, "Ricky, what are you doing right now?" I said, "I'm trying to get a job at the outlet mall." He goes, "Is that what you really want to do?" And I said, "Not necessarily, but I don't have many options." He goes, "I want you to come work for me." He goes, "Have you ever heard of a peer support specialist?" And guys, when he described what a peer support specialist was, that's when I knew everything that I'd gone through in my life, this was the purpose. He goes, "A peer support specialist is somebody with lived experience who's willing to share with other people how they got through a similar struggle." So guys, obviously most of you know what a peer support is. My role as a peer support was kind of like a mentor. If you're going through a similar struggle that I can relate to, my role is to walk beside you and be like, "Hey brother, hey sister, I don't know how you feel, but I can relate to this because I've been through it. We're going to get through it. We're going to get through it together." So I just walk with you through the fire, sharing with you how I got through that struggle. And guys, when Brandon walked up to me, he said, "Ricky, I'm not going to hand you anything, but this is what I got." And I said, "I don't need you to hand me anything. Just show me the door." And guys, when he showed me that door of opportunity, I didn't push it open. I kicked it open, and I've not looked back since, okay? I don't believe in luck or good fortune. I believe in preparation, meeting opportunity. Every single one of us have a talent or a gift, and when somebody is willing to invest into us, it's up to us to take the ball and run with it. And that's what Brandon done for me. And guys, trust me, I hear it all the time. You got lucky. Not everybody has a wife like yours. Not everybody has these contacts in Washington, D.C., Jeff City, Jackson, Mississippi at these high levels. I want to explain to you what luck is. Do you think that my wife would still be with me if I was beating on her, cheating on her, being disrespectful, being a lump of a man? 100% no. Do you think that these organizations, these conferences, law enforcement, Department of Corrections, all these people, do you think that they would invite me to come speak at their events if I was staying intoxicated, living reckless, disrespectful, didn't know how to communicate? 100% no. This is what luck is. Showing up on time, staying committed, staying sober, following through, being patient, learning how to communicate. You get my point. It is effort and attitude, two things you can control. Guys, I found for me, if when people are around me, my energy makes them feel good, they're more inclined to trust me, but they're also more inclined to bless me with opportunities, guys. Success is something that you attract, okay? I found for myself when I stopped chasing success and opportunities and I began adding value to myself through personal development, the success and opportunities found me. So that's what I mean by success is something that we attract. Same scenario, guys, and I'm getting close to shutting this down and we'll answer questions. After Asheville, my wife and I relocated to Jacksonville, North Carolina. This was during COVID-19, right at the beginning. My wife took a job with the Marine Corps aboard Camp Lejeune. I relocated on behalf of the organization I was working for to help get them established in the area. Guys, as I mentioned, COVID-19 hits and it shuts everything down, okay? I'm sure during COVID-19, you saw a lot of people that were breaking character, lashing out, being very reactive, kind of like what we're about to see through the country right now, okay? The use of Zoom, social media, and because of COVID-19, my career catapulted, okay? I refused to break character, lash out, and be that kind of individual. I couldn't leave my house, but I could work from home. So there was many days that I would give presentations just like I'm giving to you through Zoom. And guys, my career catapulted through that. Social media has been a very effective tool for me, but I catch hell on social media. I've been called everything you can imagine. I've been threatened. People have said the most vile things about my dead son. Guys, I've been giving presentations before and had people literally laughing in my face when I'm talking about sexual assault. Okay, I don't break character. I don't react to them, and I don't engage with them. Keep this in mind. When a man has lost control, he's at his weakest point. And guys, what that means is if I react to these people and I make an impulsive decision, I'm probably going to lose my credibility and probably my career. So by me staying composed in these environments, I gain strength through restraint. But other people look at me, they're like, you know what? If Ricky can stay composed in this environment, he can be trusted with opportunities. And that was a huge benefit in my career. So, guys, we're going to close with this. I'm going to share a couple of quotes with you. And like I said, you're welcome to ask whatever you like at the end of this. The first quote I want to share with you, pay attention to this. In regards to my recovery from substance use, just because you get the monkey off your back, it doesn't mean the circus has left town, okay? Guys, I don't have a relapse left. I don't have any second and third chances left. One more drink for me or anything of that magnitude, it's a wrap. I'm probably going to lose. For sure going to lose my credibility, my career, probably my life eventually. That scares the hell out of me, but it helps hold me accountable, okay? And guys, let me say this. How you choose to live your life, if you guys have drinks or whatever you do, I'm not here to look down on you. It's not in my cards anymore. And I'd be a fool to try to do it again, considering I just got my license back after 12 years. So I got to be mindful of that. Could I have a drink on the weekends and you never know about it? Probably. But I would. My conscience would kill me, guys. There's no way that I could live a double life saying I'm one person but doing another. I'm the same person on and off of social media, and I'm going to stick to that. My credibility, it matters to me. And guys, what kind of example would I be if Samantha sees me talking about recovery and discipline and structure, but she sees me at Buffalo Wild Wings having drinks, getting trashed? The message I'm sending to her is Ricky's got his life together and still drinks. I can do that as well. I don't want to be the example that encourages somebody to step off a cliff, okay? Second quote, pay attention to this one. When you surround yourself with people who have nothing to lose, they're going to help you lose everything that you have, okay? Guys, in my past, I would help you lose everything that you had because I didn't value what I had, and I didn't value what you had or respect you as well. Now I surround myself with people who are like-minded, better speakers, better leaders, just people when I'm around them, they inspire me to be a better person. Guys, they don't side with me, they enlighten me. And guys, what I mean by enlighten me, they hold me accountable. People like my wife, they tell me what I don't want to hear but need to hear out of love because they want to see me grow, but they also want to protect me as well. Guys, when I first met my wife, I'll never forget sitting in front of her, and she says, listen, Ricky, she goes, I need to say something to you. Because, guys, my whole life, people never really sat me down and said, listen, I'm going to explain to you the way that you appear to other people. Guys, I thought I was a pretty funny, cool, likable guy, but the truth was I was obnoxious and insecure, okay, unprofessional. When my wife described to me the way that I appeared to other people, it hurt my feelings, it embarrassed me, it angered me, but it forced me to take a step back and be like, you know what? She's right. My words did not align with who I was saying. My words was not in alignment with my conduct. I was being a man that I didn't respect. And to be honest with you, it repulsed me. So guys, keep this in mind. Be mindful of where you invest the most of your time into, whether it's a negative or a positive. Because guys, wherever you invest the most of your time into, that is what you're going to most value and be most protective of, just like we used to be of our addiction, okay? Guys, when somebody tries to connect with me, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to assess the choices that they're making, okay? If they're making a choice that's going to jeopardize myself or my wife, they got to go. I'm going to cut them off. I'm still going to love them. I'll buy them food. I'll talk to them on the phone, but I'm not going to their house and I'm not going to get in their car, okay, guys, because my conduct on and off social media, it can also impact my wife's career as well with the Department of Defense. So I've got to be very mindful of that. I don't mind struggling with the peer, but I'm not going to struggle because of you. When it comes to my career, my reputation, my marriage, freedom, and recovery, I protect those things at all costs. I don't play games about it, okay? I'll set boundaries, and like I said, if I have to cut somebody off, I don't have a problem doing that. So, guys, we'll close with this, something very cliche that we've all heard before. To have what you've never had before, you must be willing to do what you've never done. You've got to go where other people aren't and do what they're not. Inaction breeds fear and doubt. When fear is present, genius is suppressed. Overanalysis leads to paralysis. If you have a vision or a goal, the most important step is the very first step. You don't have to be great from the beginning, but you must begin to become great. Thank you, guys.
Ricky, I truly can't thank you enough for coming here today. It means a lot to me. When I originally sent the email, me and a couple of my friends had a bet you wouldn't even respond to it. So when you responded to it, we were all so excited. And we are just so happy to have you here. I just want you to know that. And also know that your message has reached us in Randolph County, West Virginia. So we just love what you're doing and what you stand for and advocate for. I also have Northwood on the call, and they're just going to tell us a little bit about their program.
Thank you, Sam. There are two of us here today, myself and also Matt. He is the crisis unit manager, and he's in charge of outpatient as well. But I just want to say, Ricky, thank you so much for sharing. What a great story. Very inspiring. Matt, do you want to start or would you like me to? Okay, he may had to have logged off. Okay. Oh no, there he is. I see him.
No, I'm good. I'm here. Sorry. I had some problems. We had some system issues with the computer, so I log on my phone, but I think if everybody can hear me and see me. Yeah, my name is Matt Kreitz. I actually work in operations management, so up in Brooke County, West Virginia, Weirton, towards the tip of the northern panhandle, for Northwood Health Systems. Um, so yeah, with Jen kind of being the one out there with boots on the ground and everything and the main point of contact, and she filters everything to us. My position, we have up in Brooke County, down in Ohio County and Wheeling. We operate in Marshall County below that and Wetzel County below that. So from basically the tip of the panhandle down to Wetzel is our catchment area. Um, so we basically, the programming in Brooke County is similar to the programming in Wheeling. The two main programs I work with up here are the Crisis Stabilization Unit and our outpatient program. So we're actually located right next to each other in Wheeling, and they're in the same building in Wheeling. And we have some other, Wheeling has some other programs like CFT, Community Focused Treatment, ACT, Assertive Community Treatment for additional supports, more so out of Wheeling, that we don't have in Weirton, but we still kind of all work together. Um, so yeah, Northwood, if you do or don't know, community, behavioral health and, whereas we used to I remember when I started about a decade ago, we were pretty much exclusively treating high risk West Virginia residents, largely Medicaid funded. Now we have probably more options than ever to get people covered. So people across state lines, if they have qualifying diagnosis or other things. So I think we're able to kind of broaden our scope of treatment more so than in years past. Um, I guess I'm just kind of going to, what we can offer. And so, probably the most relevant program for around the state is our Crisis Stabilization Unit program. So if you are or are not familiar with that, it's geared towards high risk populations. It's not a quote unquote inpatient program. I kind of liken it to somewhere in between like outpatient and actual inpatient. I mean, it's set up like an inpatient program to where people stay there for, about anywhere from 5 to 10 days, depending. They do stay there continuously. So, um, it's it's kind of a combined level of care, so we can treat mental health and or substance abuse. Of course, people that come in for substance abuse always usually get diagnosed with some sort of mental health issue also, and we seek to treat that. um, but we could treat just exclusively mental health also. So basically, it's kind of meant for people that need the supports and they need a higher level of care than just maybe like outpatient medication management and therapy. They need to, in quote unquote crisis, they need to get kind of get their head straight and get stabilized for a few days to a week or so. Um, and We treat everything from like elevated psychiatric signs and symptoms. If somebody is a danger to self or others, depending, suicidal or homicidal. When we're talking psychiatric symptoms or the suicidal homicidal, it would it's good for a lot of the people that don't need to go involuntarily into treatment or into like a hospital setting or get things on their record. Um, if somebody does is extremely has extreme mental health symptoms to where they're not really like oriented to what's going on around them or a threat to themselves, or if they're extremely suicidal to where they need like a 24/7 kind of line of sight monitoring, they might need an inpatient, a hospital of some sort. But for pretty much that kind of, I don't know if you call it a gray area in the middle where people need help, but they don't need to be like hospitalized. That's what we do. Beyond those two areas, also medication management. And probably what we do the most up in Brooke County is the withdrawal management, substance abuse treatment. Um, and like I said, we have our outpatient program. We have medically assisted treatment options through that. But I'm probably for the purpose here, the crisis stabilization unit would be the most relevant because usually we just treat people local to us in our outpatient settings. But yeah, so um, basically we get referrals from, recovery coaches, hospitals, POs, lawyers. We can take walk-ins 24/7. Somebody can just walk in to be assessed 24/7. And basically what we do is, if we get a referral from downstate, we have them contact the unit directly. They do a phone screen, just to get some details out of the way to make sure they're appropriate. If somebody wasn't appropriate, we wouldn't want them to waste the trip up here if they're coming from a ways away. That's why we do the phone screen. Um, like I said, we pretty much make an effort to treat everybody if somebody refers them. But like I said, any barriers to getting into like a crisis stabilization unit would be like too severe symptoms, psychiatric, suicidal, homicidal, or if there's any major medical issues that, because we're not a hospital setting. So if somebody has like an acute medical issue that we wouldn't be able to manage, it wouldn't be in their best interest to be on our unit. But we try to cut down on that barrier if we can get somebody evaluated at a hospital or something, or if they're already in an ER, if we can get them medically cleared to come on, just so there's no risks, like, for something we couldn't care for. But we try to do what we can do to get people deemed appropriate. And it's really getting somebody into us is as simple as calling the unit. We do the call screen. There might be some background things with insurance or whatever we have to check into, but we try to make it work. And then it usually comes down to getting the person here in person. When we deal with the counties around the state, we also often use the mode of care non-emergency Medicaid transportation, or there's other options out there too. But basically, call us, we screen them, give the yay or nay. If it's yay, we get them here. Once they get on premises, we do an in-person, a little more in-depth assessment to get, an intake assessment to see what's going on. We get the admission order, we bring them on. Even if somebody would walk in, we wouldn't like schedule an intake or, okay, assess you and then come back Tuesday. It's pretty much whenever we assess somebody, they would be coming on, or if they're coming from, downstate and we've already deemed that they're appropriate, then they kind of know that they're coming on when they get here. We go through the motions, we get them on the unit. We get them kind of onboarded and acclimated. Depending on what time of day they come in, we get them assigned a bed. It's more, like I said, it's not really a hospital type setting. It's more of just, behavioral health setting, not hospital beds or hospital equipment. It's more, less, I don't know if you'd say less formal than that, but try to make it a comfortable environment. So once they're on there, we're running group therapy all day long, every day. We can also do individual therapy as needed. They are meeting with a psychiatric nurse practitioner within 24 hours of admission. They basically come and do rounds each day. So, if somebody gets admitted tonight at 8 p.m., they'll see the NP tomorrow morning, more than likely. That's when they do an initial psychiatric evaluation. And that's when they really decide on the concrete details of, are we going to start meds? What's the treatment plan going to be? We complete a treatment plan. Everybody agrees on that. And then they're pretty much here, day to day. They're getting on a daily routine, get up in the morning, Ideally, if they can get up and about in time, getting some breakfast, going to group, they're seeing medical. We have medical protocols for withdrawal management to help, ease the symptoms as much as we can and just kind of be there for the clients, 24/7 for what their needs are and kind of take it day by day with an estimate of, like I said, about a week, give or take, people are here. And then, and then we help them with discharge planning, a little bit of case management aspects, and basically help them stabilize while they're here and then get them where they need to go. So, in my opinion, the crisis unit service just isolated by itself is not, I mean, it's effective, but it's really about the after you're stabilized, what happens after that. So, people local to us, we always have our outpatient programs we can refer them to. A big thing, I think in Brooke County, as opposed to Wheeling, we get about 20 to 30% more non-local referrals, meaning from counties downstate. And a lot of people, especially these days, will come to us with the kind of the crisis unit being that kind of first step into treatment to get stabilized. And then we'll help them with whatever the discharge plans are. The bulk of the time that's going to like a 28-day rehab or something. A lot of the places that need people to be kind of stabilized and or detoxed, depending, or just stabilized mentally for substance abuse clients, of course. Yeah, and then we help them with discharge planning. We help them with applications, phone calls, correspondence to either a rehab, to a follow-up, even if they're just mental health. We can help them set up appointments or whatever. So the basic goal, like I said, is to get them here, get them stabilized, and then more importantly, get them on to those next steps of treatment. And like I said, assuming they qualify for that type of setting, that's where they don't need like quote unquote hospitalized. So, yeah, in a nutshell, that's kind of what we do. Like I said, our most relevant program to everybody in here probably. And like I said, if anybody dealing with mental health and or substance abuse issues, if we'll always accept phone calls and we'll always assess people and do phone screens. Worst case, if there's some barrier to getting them in, if we can't work past it, it is what it is, but we try to do what we can to get people into treatment, and they know it's a completely voluntary service. I mean, when people are on unit, they have to follow the rules and they have to stay there. They can't come and go as they please, but, they're not, bound by law or any legal aspects to be there. They're considered totally voluntary. And ideally they kind of stick with the plan set forth and get where they need to go. So yeah, like I said, and any referrals, I know people contact Jen a lot, and then she filters them to us, and we like take it from there. So yeah, anybody who might have a concern that thinks they might need something more than just an outpatient type treatment, you can always feel free to refer them to us, and we will always try to help out.
I want to thank you for what you guys do. I know that I work with Barry Pace a lot out of Randolph County, and anytime we're dealing with someone that has co-occurring disorders, we're always, every single time, we're like, let's get a hold of Jen Call. So we send a lot of people to you guys. We love the work you do with them. We've had amazing results. So again, I just appreciate what you guys do. And it makes us feel a lot safer knowing that when we send them to places that it's a good place and they're going to be taken care of. And you guys are always great with communication. So we really appreciate you.
Okay. No, thanks for saying that. That's good to hear. Definitely.
Thank you, Sam.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys for attending today. If there's anything you want to add in the chat, I think the meeting's going to end here in probably 30 seconds. So again, thank you for attending, Mr. Johnson. We truly appreciate you. Jen, we love the work you do. We actually sent you an email today about an individual we're trying to work getting up there. Again, we love everything that you guys do.
Thank you so much. I got the email and I forwarded it along.
Yep, we received it.
Thank you so much.
All ready.